You can wave to yourself up there. And here's how it stays upright. It's got diagonal steel beams that focus its weight to its central core. And inside the top of the tower, there are 150,000 gallons or 500,000 liters of water in a mass damper. When wind blows against the building, the water in tanks on tracks is shifted against the wind to keep it steady. Now, it would stay upright without the mass damper, but it prevents it from swaying nauseatingly on windy days, and actually mass dampers are pretty common. Lots of skyscrapers have some sort of shiftable weight to help keep them steady in a strong wind. Now, Getch Partners architects were so pleased with those striking diagonal undersides that they wanted to reflect back to them with their newer buildings. Here on the left, this is Bank of America Tower. Bank of America Tower is from 2021, and it's also by Getch Partners here on the left side of the boat. The shiny diagonal supports it has are meant to unify it in style with the diagonal undersides of 150 North Riverside we just talked about. These two glass towers are both by Getch Partners architects. Now, ahead to the left is one of my very favorites. After the next bridge, up ahead to the left, is that limestone building, the Civic Opera Building, or Civic Opera House. The Civic Opera Building is from 1928 by Graham, Anderson, Probst, and White. It is home of the second largest opera auditorium in the United States, 3,500 seats behind this big wall labeled for your convenience. Now, if you look up at the whole building, the whole opera house resembles a giant throne. It has two armrests and a backrest, and the seat faces west. People have theorized that 20th century railroad businessman, Mr. Samuel Insull, who paid for the building and lived in the penthouse at the top for a year till he went bankrupt, wanted the opera house to be a throne overlooking his railway business empire to the west, while turning his back to New York, where he felt he was snubbed out of his rightful position of CEO of General Electric. It's a great story, and it's not true. The truth is, Graham, Anderson, Probst, and White probably designed those narrow upper floor plans independently of Mr. Insull to allow for cross ventilation. Letting the breeze cross through the upper floors was very important for air conditioning to cool those upper floors, and those narrow upper floor plans allowed for easy cooling cross breezes. Now, on the right side of the boat, below the street, this is the train shed for Chicago Union Station. Here on the right, this is where the platforms are, where passengers get on and off the trains. Now, Chicago Union Station is the fourth busiest train station in the United States by annual passenger movement, being not only an important cross-country hub for Amtrak, but also being the busiest hub of Metra, which is our regional rail network in Chicagoland. Thousands of residents use to get between the suburbs and city every day. Now, Chicago Union Station is actually the busiest train station in the country outside the Northeast Corridor, which is from Boston to DC via New York and Philly. They have much denser and more regular train service than anywhere else in the country. So I like to say that Chicago Union Station is the busiest train station in the country outside the part of the country with trains. Now, up above the train shed, these dark steel rectangular buildings are called the Gateway Center. They're by Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill. They're international style, and they have special ventilation systems which take in the diesel fumes from the idling locomotives beneath them and release them cleaner into the atmosphere above. All right, after the next bridge, we'll look forward to the right. Ahead to the right is a dark steel building, well, a short little building with dark steel X braces along the walls. Little building with the dark steel X's ahead to the right. That was a financial trading floor, the Midwest Commodities Exchange, designed by Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill with lead engineer Dr. Fazler Khan. Dr. Fazler Khan developed these X braces to support the roof and avoid using internal pillars, which would have obstructed the sight lines across the trading floor. It was an important innovation in architectural engineering, that external support. Look closely, it's still a fascinating building. It's both a bakery and a gym. Now, after the next bridge, on the right, this green glass building on the right is Gateway 4. It's over the south concourse of Union Station, which looks busier. Now, Gateway 4 is by Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill with lead architect James DeStefano. green glass to match the green river, and the building curves mimicking the bend in the river just south of it. And the convex windows even give the walls a ripply effect like the surface of water. Matching the surroundings, in this case mostly the river, matching the surroundings is called contextual architecture. James DeStefano, the lead architect here, he really likes contextualism. Now, ahead to the right is this limestone behemoth. After the bridge on the right, this enormous limestone building is the old post office. The old post office is from 1932 by Graham Anderson Probst and White. It was the biggest post office in the world in 1932. Now, if you look in front of us, the bridge ahead of us carries a highway over the river and right through the post office, through a tunnel that goes through the first floor. The tunnel that this expressway goes through on the right was an original piece of the building's design, built before the post office was even, built before the highway was here. The reason that Graham Anderson Probst and White had the foresight to accommodate this yet-to-be-built highway was thanks to the 1909 Plan of Chicago, laid out by lead architect and city planner Daniel Burnham. The Burnham Plan of Chicago, as early as 1909, always envisioned some sort of big road going through that site, which is why the post office was designed to accommodate that said road. Wasn't built for about 15 years after the post office. Now, Daniel Burnham didn't only care about traffic, he also believed that city dwellers deserved access to open space. A lot of our city parks come directly from the Burnham Plan of 1909, including Lincoln, Grant, and Jackson parks, as well as Humboldt, Garfield, and Douglas parks, connected by a beltway of tree-lined boulevards on the west side of town. Those features also come from the Burnham Plan. Daniel Burnham was also, of course, famous for being the lead architect behind the World's Fairgrounds of 1893. Now, the old post office was the biggest post office in the world. The reason we had the biggest post office was catalogs. We were the mail-order retail capital of the world. Montgomery Ward, Sears and Roebuck, and Spiegel, among others, were all founded here. Up to the late 20th century, those catalogs and their products were passing through the biggest post office in the world that we just sailed by. Now, for young folks on the boat, a catalog is, if you imagine, Amazon.com printed as a book. It would somehow get into your mailbox. You'd flip through the pages, tear out the order form, and mail it back to tell them which products you wanted. Those products would arrive not with 24-hour overnight shipping, but from 2 to 8 weeks later. And despite being physical printed books, they still offered a wide variety of goods. In their heyday, these catalogs were often bigger than phone books. For the young folks on the boat, a phone book is, if you imagine, I'll move on. Anyway, the Postal Service moved out of the old post office in 1997. On the right side of the boat is the new main post office, built in 97. Not much to look at from the river, but the lobby is a beautiful, naturally lit, spacious space, and the old post office is a nicely occupied mixed office building with a food hall and an elaborate rooftop garden today. Now we're going to look ahead to the left. Well, actually, directly to the left. Here on the left is this curvy concrete building. The curvy building on the left is River City. It's from 1986 by Bertrand Goldberg. Hey, that sounds familiar. Goldberg, same guy who designed Marina City, the two circular towers downtown. Goldberg had two major philosophies when it came to these big residential buildings. Number one, he wanted to use round, natural-looking shapes. And number two, he believed that big residential buildings should allow for community space within them. For instance, River City here has over an acre of shared common space and an atrium throughout the building, referred to by Goldberg as an indoor park, mostly under a big skylight as well, so naturally lit. Now we're going to bounce to the right here in just a moment.